So the kids were sent home from school like mid-March, right? And they have been with me every single day. And so that means when I have to go to the shop to make the soap and do the things, they're along for the ride, which is great because they literally grew up in this environment. And so it's nice to have them back, but they're a little bit older now than they were, when we first started this whole soapy journey. And as a result, they have cool ideas that they would like to experiment with and play with. And today is one of those cool ideas brought to you by the Soap and Clay Kidlet #1. But before I tell you about what AON made, hello, I'm Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are here for another round of 365 days of soap, and today we're doing another custom bar for the Soap and Clay Kidlets, or rather a custom bar from their brains, which is great. Soap and Clay Kidlet #1 and I have a lot of things in common, and one of those things is our love of butterflies. And she asked me if we could put a butterfly into a soap, and I said that's a great idea. We've never actually done that. And then she asked me if we could put flowers into it too. And I said, like flowers on top? And she said, no, like a flower design inside. And I thought, cool, let's actually try to do a modified version of a hanger swirl. So technically it would be a modified version of a butterfly swirl to see if we could create a flower along with a butterfly in a bar of soap. And you get to see what we came up with right now. Let's go. So the making of the butterflies and blooms first is going to be the embed. I did not show you the making of the embed. I used cold process and used a silicone mold to, make the butterfly. And I used those three colors, the blue, the purple, and the pink, in a swirl to make the butterfly. And yeah, also going into that will be the kaolin clay, which is dispersed in water because I do want to play around with some glycerin rivers, and the rose and violet scent that Soap and Clay Kidlet #1 has selected. Now, with this particular batter, it is not necessary to keep it at emulsification. I love soaping in emulsification, but really, to get a good hanger swirl, you do need to have reach trace, because if the soap batter is too thin, and we're going to show you emulsification right now. See how it's separating? It is not emulsified yet. So you need to keep mixing. You need to learn what emulsification looks like, and that is not it. That's a sign that you need to keep blending. Now, I'm playing around with the stick there to show you that this soap batter is getting thick, even though it's not emulsified. So this is kind of a common mistake that a lot of soap makers make in the early stages. As the soap batter thickens up, they think, well, it's good to go, and then they pour it and they find a crumbly bar of lye heavy soap because we've got lye pockets and it didn't fully saponify as a result. Now that actually looks really good. See how it's all sticking there? We have emulsification, my friends. We are ready to go. And with this, again, we are not going to stay with emulsification. We are going to make this reach a thin trace so we can get the hanger in there properly with the pour, and we'll talk about more of that within the actual the pour section of the video. But the reason why my soap batter was looking thick, even though it had not hit emulsification yet, is because of the oil blend that is in this. Now, I let Soap and Clay Kidlet number one, select the oils, you know, within reason. And so she selected some shea butter and some cocoa butter and some palm oil and coconut oil. And so that ended up being like 70% of the oils. And then we have, you know, 30% of liquid oils. She did olive and grapeseed, and I think that was it. Yeah. And so as a result, we have a very thick batter anyway, because we have a lot of solid oils in here. 70% of the recipe are solid oils. And so, and I was soaping very cool, and I would say I was soaping around 85 degrees or so. And so the stuff that's in the palm, the babasu, and the cocoa butter, those have a kind of higher melting points than, you know, coconut, for example. And so that, like the stearic acid and the palmitic acid, those things were actually hardening up just by nature of them being cool. And so during the, you know, mixing process, it looked like it was, you know, ready to go and ready to soap with, like it had hit emulsification or trace because it was getting thick. But that's not the case, because I was dealing with overly cool oils. So there are a lot of soap makers that really love working at, you know, room temperature with their soap, and I am one of those people. I really love it, but that's something that you do contend with. So keep in mind, if you're not going to be soaping at the higher temps, you really do need to know how to find emulsification, so you can, you know, not essentially just assume that your batter is thick and ready to go just because it's thick. So now onto the pour. We are going to be putting about, I don't know, half of the white batter into the mold, and we will then be layering the colored soap down the length of the left side of the mold, and we will be alternating the colors over and over and over again until all of the colored soap batter is in. And then on the right side of the mold, we will put the butterfly in after we've taken a hanger to it and, you know, done the swirl. Now with this, normally I do a really proper wall pour for these, just because I love wall pours, but my liner is actually really weird today, and there's like a gap in it because I cut the liner too short and I had to like seam another piece of line, whatever. So anyway, I'm trying to stay as close to the wall as possible and keep all the colors going one on top of the other, and continue to make passes, alternating the colors each time to get all of the colored soap batter into the mold. And I will then take a hanger to the entire thing and do some swirls with the hanger. Now normally with a butterfly swirl, what you would do is you would take your hanger down the left side of the mold and put it all the way down to the bottom of the mold, and then you would start making little circles away from you and pulling it sort of to the right with each little circle pass, and up with each little pass, until you got to the other side. And see, I'm doing that right now. And so that would be a nice butterfly there. And then I'm going to pull it back all the way to the other side and then out of the mold. So back to its essentially, you know, starting side, but not all the way down. And then I'm going to layer the rest of the soap batter over the top of this, and, you know, we'll put it in the oven and it will sea pop, because I love sea popping things. And, you know, that's it. I mean, after we put the butterfly in, of course. But yeah, so kind of this modified hanger, I'm hoping, is going to yield something that sort of resembles kind of like a tulip, maybe, is kind of what I'm going for with this. And the sort of pull with the final pull back over to the other side of the mold is hopefully going to help achieve that. And also that the batter is, I would say, a little bit thin to do a proper butterfly anyway. I'm hoping that that actually comes into play too. So we're not going to see super big wisps is what I'm hoping. We don't want any big wisps going on, like really wispy swirls from the hanger. We're just really wanting it to sort of the colors to pull into themselves and slowly pull out into, you know, the main body of the bar, and still allow the butterfly to stand on its own away from what could be, you know, a flower. Now that I've put the butterfly in, again, flying blind, whenever you're working with a, you know, log mold there, you don't really know what's going on in the middle of the bar. You have an idea if you've, you know, done it a few times, you know, whatever, but you don't really know what's going on. And so I placed that butterfly sort of arbitrarily. I did not want it to be on the far side of the mold so you could see the butterfly on the outside of the bar when we take it out. And I also don't really want it to be inside the colored, swirl portion. I want the butterfly to sort of stand on its own in a field of white. So that's what I'm hoping for. Let's see what we come up with. Now, for the rest of the soap batter that's in the beakers, I'm just going to lay them down the length of the mold, all three colors sort of on top of themselves, and then do some sort of swirl that maybe resembles a butterfly thing or a flower thing on top. I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before, and I mean, I obviously know what I'm doing, but I've never done this particular pour, and so I am just playing at this point. And that's one of the coolest things about being a soap maker, is all of the playing, and you get to see, what works and what doesn't, and what you like and what you don't, and the things that you can change from one batch to the next. And it is a never-ending learning process, which is really cool, and I like it. But yeah, I'm just going to take the skewer just to the colored sections essentially and sort of move them into each other in there's no particular fashion with any of this. It's just, hey, that looks pretty, let's do that. And how about that? And maybe that looks like a flower and we can roll with that. And it's, it's pretty, and we're just going for a pretty top. And we will, again, put this in the oven and pop it overnight, and then cut it tomorrow. I'm going to pop because I love popping, but also because I want to keep those colors looking nice and beautiful and vibrant. And purples are hard if you don't pop. You don't get extra heat to them really. So that is the plan, my friends, and we will see what we have tomorrow. And it is cut day. And you see there at the upper left, I have some seepage going on there. I find that rose always seeps for me, and I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's my water content. I don't know, whatever. I don't know if rose is just something that seeps. I have no idea. So there's some seepage, but in the grand scheme of life, the soap is going to reabsorb that, and it's not going to be a problem at all. And so far so good with the placement of the butterfly. It's not as inside the bar as I would have liked, but also it's good enough that, it's not going to just sort of pop out. And that's one thing that you do sort of have to worry about with embeds, be they cold process or melt and pour. If you don't get them like firmly within the bar itself, you could have some problems with them adhering, and they could, fall out later when the end user is using them, and that would not be good. But so far it looks pretty great. I don't see anything that would cause, be cause for concern for me. So we will. Oh, that's cute. That is super cute. I like that. Aww, that's adorable. Oh my goodness, those colors went really well together. Soap and Clay Kidlet #1 picked out the colors, as I said, and they look good. That was a really good color combination. She's very artistic. She definitely has the eye that I don't have, and that's cool. I totally try to see, there it is. There's like a little flower going on in there. That's super cute. You put the thing, yeah. Put the two bars together and you get a little flower pattern. I think that's adorable. That totally worked. Yeah, so modified butterfly, the pulling it back in, it did the thing. So less swirly than what you would expect with a proper butterfly swirl, but if you think about it, that's still kind of a butterfly too. It just needed a couple more turns, circular turns, and it would have been the perfect butterfly really. But yeah, these soaps are really pretty. I like the different details in the with the butterfly too, because they, I did an in the pot swirl for the embed, and that looked really good. I was worried that it was just going to be this kind of, grayish purple throughout everything, but there's definitely some detail within each little butterfly, so that's cool. I love it. Yes, my little artistic daughter had a cool vision that totally paid off. And there it is. That is day 67, Butterflies and Blooms, brought to you by the amazing artistic mind of Soap and Clay Kidlet #1. And And there it is, butterflies and blooms. And I really love it. I love the colors that she picked out. I love the scent blend. She went with the rose and violet again, which is what we used for her solid lotion bar a couple months ago. She's a sucker for florals, which is one thing we do not have in common. But that's okay, because you know, somebody has to like florals and it doesn't have to be me. And I realized as I was making this bar that while we put a butterfly embed into it and used a modified version of the butterfly swirl, that I haven't actually done a butterfly, like a proper butterfly technique soap on the channel yet. So it's in the works. I will definitely be doing that one soon. But for now, you know, I hope you enjoyed this one and found it as beautiful as I do. And if you are interested in purchasing it, it is available for a limited time on the website at soapandplay.com. Once these bars are gone, it's gone. And if you are interested in subscribing to the channel for more soapy antics, please do. It would be awesome. I would love it. If you have any ideas for soap, send them my way and I will see what I come up with, you know, for you. And yeah, again, thank you so much for joining us for another round of 365 days of soap. I will see you tomorrow. Bye.